And we come now to 1 hour 30 Universal Time. In the news at this hour, the United States military says prisoners held at the American Navy base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, have fought with their guards. The Defense Department says a prisoner acted as if he were trying to kill himself in a medium security area of the prison. The Defense Department says other prisoners there then attacked guards who entered the area. The Defense Department says no one was hurt in the incident late on Thursday. However, the incident took place on the same day that 3 other prisoners attempted to kill themselves by taking dangerous amounts of medicine. The spokesman said none of the prisoners succeeded in killing themselves. The United Nations Committee Against Torture says the United States should close its prison in Guantanamo Bay. The committee released its report on Friday. It urges the United States to close foreign centers where suspected terrorists are being held. The UN committee said that operating such centers is equal to an act of torture or cruel and inhuman punishment. The committee noted reports of torture by United States military workers in Iraq and in Afghanistan. A human rights organization says Chile must take extra measures to prevent former Peruvian President Alberto Fujimori from leaving the country. The group Human Rights Watch said on Friday that Mr. Fujimori has a history of fleeing to other countries. It also says he has the resources to escape. On Thursday, the Chilean Supreme Court temporarily released the former Peruvian leader. The court is considering a request by Peru to have Mr. Fujimori returned to Peru for trial. Mr. Fujimori faces charges of human rights violations and official wrongdoing. A new public opinion study says Mexican presidential candidate Felipe Calderón has the most support. The study was released on Friday by Zogby International and the University of Miami. The study says 34% of those asked support Mr. Calderón, who represents the National Action Party of President Vicente Fox. 29% supported Democratic Revolutionary Party candidate and former Mexico City Mayor Andrés Manuel López Obrador. And Roberto Madrazo of the Institutional Revolutionary Party was supported by 22%. 12% had not decided. In Brazil, the state of São Paulo is calm after 1 week of violent attacks that have killed 170 people. Officials said on Friday that thousands of police officers remained on duty. The violence has been blamed on a group that calls itself the First Capital Command. Officials say a jailed criminal leader ordered the attacks, which included riots in at least 70 prisons. At least 107 suspected criminals were killed in the clashes with police. Civilians and prisoners also died. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. The United Nations is sending a high-level delegation to Sudan to discuss permitting a UN team into Darfur. A UN spokesman says former diplomat Lakhdar Brahimi will lead the delegation. Mr. Brahimi has served as a diplomat in both Iraq and Afghanistan. The UN Security Council has given Sudan until Tuesday to admit the team. The team will observe the situation in Darfur before making plans to take control of peacekeeping operations in the area. Iraqi Prime Minister-designate Nouri al-Maliki is to present his new government to Parliament on Saturday. However, no agreement has been reached on the positions of defense and interior ministers. Officials say Mr. al-Maliki plans to have the cabinet sworn in immediately after they are approved. In other news, the fate of a kidnapped diplomat from the United Arab Emirates remains unknown. Media reports say that Naji al-Nuami has been released, but the man's family said on Friday they could not confirm if that was correct. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has ordered an investigation into an attempt by a Hamas leader to illegally carry money into the Gaza Strip. Security forces loyal to Mr. Abbas seized more than $800,000 from Hamas spokesman Sami Abu Zuhri. Mr. Abu Zuhri was entering Gaza from Egypt. Mr. Abbas has ordered the Palestinian Attorney General to investigate. Hamas officials say the money came from Arab nations to help the Palestinian government. They are demanding that the money be returned. And the Bush administration says the president supports a bill that makes English the national language of the United States. On Thursday, the Senate approved a measure to do this. An administration spokesman said that Mr. Bush always has said he wants to make sure that people seeking citizenship have a command of English. Critics say the measure could cancel a presidential order by former President Bill Clinton. That order requires the federal government to provide services in other languages. And so, briefly now, here again is the major news of this hour. Prisoners held at the American Navy base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, reportedly have fought with their guards. A human rights organization has warned that former Peruvian President Alberto Fujimori may possibly flee the country. And a new public opinion study says Mexican presidential candidate Felipe Calderón has the most support. So ends the news. In VOA Special English.